All right, so let's open up the governance committee. We have members Bill Simcoe, Gary Nippy, Kristen, and Mark Hendricks here, representing their respective communities. On the agenda, the first item is reading and approval of minutes of October 10th, 2022. If it seems like it's serendipitous we're meeting in October, again, that's because we typically meet once a year. Last time we met, it was to review items relating to the board performance, which is the self-evaluation form, and then kind of the charge of the governance committee to look over the policies and bylaws of the corporation to see if any changes were necessary. So no one from the governance had any changes to that policy, so no action was taken over the course of the year to make any modifications. That summarizes the last meeting. It's going to be second verse, same as the first. Any questions, comments, concerns on the minutes, misspellings, mischaracterizations, names misspelled? All right, Mark. Excellent. Second. There's a second. On favor? Aye. All right. Minutes accepted. Okay. The Authority Budget Office requires that public authorities do an annual Board of Directors evaluation. They are kind enough to set some parameters in regards to that evaluation. You can guarantee. Traveling flies. What I've created is a copy of what's the confidential evaluation of board performance. It merely asks a standard set of questions and asks you to rate them from agree all the way down to disagree. The results are anonymous to all of you. I aggregate the results each year when that form is completed and then distribute it to the board. The governance committee has the opportunity to modify practices or principles or internal controls of the corporation in order to address some of the deficiencies it may find in related to the assessment of the internal controls. The second part of the element is doing the assessment of internal controls. All of our internal controls, our bylaws, our policies are on our website, so they're easily accessible should you wish to find them. We have a number of policies related to compensation, bylaws, whistleblower, harassment, all sorts of policies that are available on the website for you to look at. The Authority Budget Office asks that each year we review our policies. They don't say what review looks like, but if we're comfortable with our policies, there's nothing that requires us to make modifications to them, but we are required to look at them and determine whether there are risks associated with those policies. Finally, in your packet, I apologize that the printer doesn't print color. When I print black and white, I thought these colors would stand out. So when you see them in your black and white copies, I apologize because they all look the same. But essentially, this bar chart represents the feedback that has been provided in years past, from agree, which is in blue to each of these questions, to somewhat agree. There was a somewhat disagree, perhaps there was no somewhat disagrees in these categories, but there are the summaries of prior assessments that have been, data has been collected. Also, the aggregate data is there as well. Should you be curious about how the board performed in past years. Essentially, what we'd be looking at for this year, if this instrument is accepted by the governance committee, is repeating this process in order to conduct the analysis. And then when I submit the annual report to the Authority Budget Office, in large part it's a box we check, but we identify any deficiencies in the internal controls. The board can address those. Any questions as I rattled off all that stuff? Essentially, the ask to the committee is to ratify the survey. All right. Second, all in favor? Aye. Excellent. And so, please, I will distribute the survey after the meeting. Get that back to me. I'll aggregate results. We'll present it to the board before it gets submitted to the Authority Budget Office, and then that's pretty straightforward. The charge to you guys is, and this doesn't require any action, is please look at the website for our corporation governance policy practices. If there's anything that committee members are aware of that needs to be adopted, please let me know. Perhaps something years past, I believe we updated our harassment and sexual harassment policies, state requirements to be requirements of authorities. So beyond that, if there's any other modifications and policies needed, take a look. I can put a feeler out there if you like. Generally, we get them from the Department of State. They let us know because they oftentimes impact CDRPC as well. So, so record retention, we had to modify that policy. And that came to and sexual harassment policy modified. That's the number. So we generally have a good beat of exchange because we have to do this as well. And being public institutions, if you come across anything that may affect us, I try to be frugal about touching base with our legal counsel and say, do you know of anything changing? Usually you're going to support counsel. Well, I'll put it out there. Yeah, I think we're compliant. I'll check. Any other questions, comments, concerns before we go to finance? Second. Gary? Awesome. All right, we are adjourned. Finance committee, I see representatives of their respective communities here for the finance committee. So we're going to move forward with the finance committee. There's 2 items on the agenda. Good question. We got Tom here as well. So like Tom's here, Jessica's here. Thanks for the heads up. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to the party. Finance committee, let me go to the materials. Pretty straightforward. First item on the finance committee's agenda would be the reading and acceptance of the July 14th, 2022 minutes. Those are posted to the Dropbox and to the website before the meeting. The draft minutes contain a summary of our prior actions when we adopted our proposed FY22 budget modification to revise to accept a certain number of invoices related to projects that had activity in the 2022 budget year, although they weren't captured in that particular year. So pretty straightforward, and we're going to be doing the same exercise. Any questions, comments, concerns about the minutes that were distributed? Second. Sure, Gary. All right. In favor? Aye. All right, great. Tom, jump in if you have an objection. You can object to Bill's motion if you want. What you have on the screen now is our 2023 Albany CSO Pool Communities Corporation budget that was adopted earlier this year and then amended with some additional project activity. There is one modification to this particular budget, and I will scroll down. One proposed modification, and I will scroll down to that modification, and that is 123rd, 124th Street sewer separation. You have some invoices that weren't included that are part of the project. They're fully within the project's budget, but we received the invoices after we closed out the year for that line item budget. So that project activity took place in the prior year. We just didn't have it as a project in, if you'll notice, we didn't have it as a project expense. And to authorize and approve those invoices, which will process next month, if the board approves this, this budget modification, it does slightly affect the community contributions. There is no grant associated with that project. So the 109,500 is straight to that. I believe the modification was necessary because of the change order in that particular project for some rock excavation, things like that, which we have communication with the FC about. Jump back in the time machine yesterday. I've jumped back in to the FC about the modifications to that particular project. Any questions? Just talking. we have a second? Sure. Sure. Enthusiasm, I love it. All right, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries. That does it for finance committees. I like this. Do we have any other wishes of the committee members? Or, Next, and I'll second that. All right, all in favor? Aye. Thanks. All right, we are adjourned. We're doing well on time, so let me go to our materials for our board meeting. Bill, you can have the floor. I'm not share my screen.
So I think we have myself and Tom and Jess are soon. Don't have any participation. One of the weeks. Murphy here. So welcome everybody. So the minutes.
If I can ask just anybody online jump in. Can you see the appropriate screen with the agenda, or are you looking at the file structure? Looking at Explorer?
It actually just says you are sharing your screen, but we don't see anything.
Yeah, I can't hear you, Mark.
Oh, it just says you're sharing your screen, but we don't see anything.
I can't hear anybody. Thumbs up. Okay, I guess that means they're looking at the agenda. All right. Unless somebody jumps in and says it. Sorry. I think it comes down. I think it let us know we could do this.
Go to the minutes. I do have a couple of things.
Sure. Oh, they can't, you can't hear us. I asked to unmute.
We can hear, we just can't see
Can't
the
see.
presentation.
Okay, thank you.
The screen sharing is paused. Now the screen sharing.
Yay. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Okay, so
Thank you.
a couple of notes that I
Yes.
made on page 3 of the business.
Mhm.
It's just the type of draft IUP is this one. I think second thing
Oh.
was some word reported that just Mr. was applying for VIA funding. I think they didn't weren't applying for VIA funding, they're just in the process of getting an engineer on board to prepare.
Okay, so applying is not, is
No, they don't have a preliminary engineer's report on this.
considering getting, what would be the appropriate
Maybe next year's
Yeah.
VIA. But they're not.
process of getting it?
I think they may have selected an engineer.
Yeah. I'm gonna put considering an application.
Working on being able to take advantage of that.
Tim Murphy reported the water purification district likes money.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Okay, I will, considering an application for me.
Any other modifications to the minutes? Motion to accept this. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Great.
Financial report.
Well, they keep spending money.
We have to, it's supposed to be done by March.
We've made distribution to Albany. brought our balance down to $494,000. We have accounts payable amounts of $20,000 to pay out, and that very nicely matches up to the community balances net of $473,000. Obviously, there's big swings between who owes what, who is a local. Everything is going along copacetically. We only have this. We're now at about 76% of the total budget for the year. This, whatever's approved today, will also go into last year for this past fiscal year. Let's finish up something 80-some%. Questions?
I will note, post the discussion about community obligations in relation to a couple of projects like Monument Square and the Cross Street Outfall and the Quail Street project, where we booked the projects, but the community balances will change given the community's desires about how the money will flow. Tom and I are working on a memo that will summarize the community balance impacts of that. It won't affect what we've approved as far as eligible expenses, but we want to reflect back to communities what the community obligations will, how they'll realign given those.
Yeah, it is a realignment. It doesn't change the total numbers for the corporation. But only picks up all of Quail Street, therefore the community shares go away.
Let's see. We got the big projects. We can just keep money flowing because Jessica's been working to get this personal paperwork done. But we need to flow from the communities. I see the MPC back to Albany because it's paying back to it. It's tough cash flow for us. So that is financial report. Do you have any questions about the financial report? We'll move on to the report of the governance.
Yeah, let's go way back in time. Governance committee met, 8 eons ago, and recommended to the board the adoption of our survey instrument. Scrolling, a survey instrument for the board to do its performance of its annual self-evaluation. And so the board just needs to adopt the recommendation. Say
Your
no.
recommendations is use the same amount, same policy form as last year, to the same amount. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Report of the finance.
Finance committee met also eons ago, just for the meeting, and recommended for adopt a modified 2023 budget in order to accept expenses that we submitted to the city of Troy for the 123rd.
So a motion to accept the budget as modified. Second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. 2022 to 25 audit engagement solicitation.
Yes, let me go. I'm going to change folders here. Bear with me. It's probably going to take way longer than I want to. But while I'm changing folders, I will. Okay, I'll just have to communicate this. We did receive an audit solicitation for 3 audit firms. Sorry. EFPR, Marvin Company, and Weston Company. Weston Company is a firm that we had previously engaged with for 2 audits. We typically engage our audit firm for a series of 3 annual engagements. So this RFP solicitation was no different in that we requested the audit firms put together a potential for a 3-year engagement, with each year being treated separately as an independent audit with a separate engagement. Each of the audit firms were provided with a series of tasks, including audit of the financials and preparation of our Chart 500 and our IRS 990 forms that we file each year, and provided materials relating to the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation requirements. So required forms included lobbying form, documentation of an MWE plan. Although they didn't need a full plan, they still need to fill out the EO form. So each of the audit firms did submit all the material that was required in relation to the Authority Budget Office, and I can just quickly walk you through each of the responses for each of the audit firms. If selected, each firm has a 3-year engagement period, conducting similar processes that we've had in the past. And I can open these up. I don't know walk you through each one. To the chase, the bottom line is that Weston Company has provided the most competitive rate. So everything is going to go super slow. Open up my chart, which compares the costs. Doesn't like me today. So here we can see the materials that were submitted as part of this particular application. Each of the audit firms did submit the materials that were requested and a series of references. Weston Company did provide the most competitive price. Their estimate for the work was for audit tax returns $9,250, which is slightly less than the price they had provided us in the past. Second bid. Yeah, definitely. Marvin Company was slightly higher at $10,500, and then additional cost for the tax preparation for a total cost of $11,500. Paper at us. While I scroll through, they were least competitive as far as the prices in that they estimated between $13,500 and $14,500. There are a couple of observations from staff. One is we've been very happy with Weston Company because I think they understand how the corporation functions. Our only concern, and I don't want this to sway because I think having a lot of has its benefits as well. Our only concern is that with these prices, my concern is that they don't fully take into consideration the time to spin up and understand that. So, like, you know, each of them were asked all the questions in the early beginning of the process as far as do we post things online, and do we have prior audits they can look at, those sorts of materials, which is required. But my thought is that they also asked how much time is required in the office, meeting with staff. I would think there would at least be 2 days, 2 solid days, where they would need to come to the office and understand how the CSO program works and this complicated building structure that we have. So my only concern with the 2 firms we haven't worked with before is that their prices may not, even though they are higher, may not take into full consideration time needed to understand our program. So they're not to exceed, but I still think that that can potentially. There is nothing requiring us to change other firms. We have cycle lead partners with less update as recommended as the given recommendations. Amy's our contract person, but they have to change it out.
So recommendation is yes.
Staff would recommend West if we understand the process well. If we know our internal controls where we can see some things mess up. I still believe they do a great job with their audit. And they're also the most competitive. So, right.
Accept the recommendations. Favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Most carries.
Great. I will get an engagement letter put together. Get the bill. They have all the materials. The other advantage of West is they've already cleared the EFC, so it's not a new process to go through. Trains. Not to do our audits.
Vendor invoices.
Vendor invoices, we have 2 invoices. Okay. 2 applications before us. Carver is both in pay app 6 and 7. They are both for Columbia Street. Both do have grant associated, which significantly reduces the bottom line for the grants. I do see a typo in the pay app 7. So why did I do that? I was doing so well. Pay app 7. I am so sorry. To that invoice. So pay app 6 is correct. The total amount of the invoice is $482,488.38, to which there is the grant applied. So sorry. Yeah. I'm just making sure that I have the correct applications. Copy. Yeah, that's so. Yeah. Okay, 424-20908. Yeah, the other one's for change. Yeah. It's not like. Yeah, right. That number is correct. That number is correct. 424, right. Yeah. So the after grant number is correct, the invoice total is not correct. So the community obligation would be the 226,59.
I think we still need to get some. Yeah, as a matter of
Because of the
fact,
change order in the meeting, what is that? Going to the change order for the extra proper.
they do.
Right, it was utilization.
You sent them to me. I
Yes,
like how you forwarded them, including the past emails. with their
yes,
acknowledgement.
because we had sent those things, both Columbia Street, we sent in February, to Brenda, directly. March, we sent her directly, to Lee Street. So, we forwarded again to Brenda, everything we sent. And this time we also copied or indicated that Albany and Troy with the appropriate numbers. So, and the SSS dash 10, SSS dash 12 numbers. So hopefully they don't lose them again.
They acknowledged receipt of them last time. So they did get them. And
They
knew
got
got
them. I don't know why it's not up there in the system. Or all of a sudden, I never saw this.
I'm not infallible, as you can see. So I no business calling you pretty up.
Well, I guess it's a good thing. we had this- oh, it's somewhat discouraging. You don't have to have your system.
Well, what I didn't understand, it's all EFC, all is looking at numbers in their system, and Brenda's saying, I don't see that. It's supposed to be the same system. I don't understand why she can't see the numbers. How I, I don't think.
Well, so we're trying to make sure that if we active projects, one is to phase two, leads to the whole street. Engineering and economics stuff. that we can, sometimes we have to run at the same time as we're doing, sometimes not.
Yeah.
We'll have to keep them. And up street and Columbia phase two, we also had deadlines in December.
Correct. Only it. I'm not fighting myself.
Okay, so with that correction, then the motion to approve. Second. In favor? Opposed? Motion carries. So, for discussion of legacy costs.
Yeah, so I didn't prepare a significant document, which is what we're talking about. In the long-term control plan, there are some projects which were envisioned as a construction plan. Sewer separation, and outfall repair, construction of a facility that normally falls into standard operations. And this owns the asset, it's a pipe in the ground, and it's within their. There are a couple of projects which, in order to meet the terms of the long-term control plan when it comes to treating flow or capturing flowables, have an ongoing operation cost specific to that asset that is very easily calculated as opposed to a pipe that's very potentially significant. There are a few of these projects in the long-term control plan. Biggest one is Big C, but the others are Little C and flowables control facilities that have this footprint and operating costs. Within the long-term control plan, they were identified as having costs beyond the out years of the long-term control plan. The IMA did consider these costs in the fact that cleaners are responsible for operating. And if I want to call something up, I see that. The IMA has what people may recall a matrix of responsibility. The matrix of responsibility was included in the IMA at the request of EFC and DPC. And the reason for the matrix was they wanted to see that the communities understood that some of the facilities in the long-term control plan had ongoing shared legacy costs beyond the terms of the order I consent. So it's anticipated that when they're complete, there'll be an annual operation cost. So using, and they'll jump in, correct me if I'm wrong, any of this, in terms of Big C, there's a cost for the energy use, there's a cost for the wastewater operating, there's a cost for the chemicals that are provided for the facility. That has an annual cost, where if Albany went in and shut off the magic switch that shuts down the facility, we no longer need water quality compliance. Same with the Little C facility, and the Flowless facility, which have an energy cost or a cost of maintenance. So it was anticipated and contemplated in the IMA that communities would use the IMA and perhaps the corporation as a structure to reconcile those costs.
It's the same percentages.
At the same percentages. That doesn't have to involve the corporation. If folks remember, we had an MOA to settle all of our legacy costs for projects for the long-term control plan. Rensselaer knows how that works, and Coles knows how that works, because they just get an annual payment from the communities to settle that, and there's a structure, and there's 25 years or whatever that terms are, 25 years, and that's just a legacy thing, and there's no involvement from us. So that instrument can be created, but at some point in time, we're going to need to develop what those costs are. I would imagine that part of the Big C development. Constantly thought about.
Yeah, so that, so we're gonna need to be and the first year of operation, we also have tests the fact that contract performance dose response. The first year is a final point testing. Some testing is supposed to be upfront. And to some extent, and I guess we have to talk about some of these first year operations, plus where we could be considered as part of the project. So that's something. But I don't know how you see looks at those things and other bonders, other projects that were involved in some of the first year costs, especially if you find it's an issue.
Some of these operating costs that were shipped today.
Some of the
Big C, for instance, shipped on site treatment facility, which will eventually and now what's intended for C again? Is that the access system?
You know, we haven't gotten into the design, but Arcadis submitted for an planning grant on that. Where the ones that are probably be trying to pull forward from that particular project. In my mind, it would be a screening device.
Would be considered similar to Big C, that would be on site.
Will that sense up there?
I was thinking past the system.
Because of the sewer separation and everything else. So in that condition, yeah. Same situation at the north. We had some larger open. Plus, I don't know if there's any consideration. also. We really needs to be done. So maybe we want to, see what our case is, and it's get ahead of it. We don't have anything. Budget.
What I'm thinking is maybe, if we get the announcement. Well, even if we don't get the announcement. Maybe slip down. So. Get a meeting of minds, say, that's sort of directions.
Right, yeah.
Financial party.
Yeah. I'm up for it.
Uh,
I'm
Yeah,
running
you know what we don't?
here. Yeah.
One thing to keep in mind with regards to financing. All these going ahead with this last round of financing, still based on the 2014 numbers. And I know we have the capability that we see the initial contingency.
So even those 14 numbers, I know the numbers that they have, or they have, exactly at 2007. Never got.
So we're,
The one there showed 60,000.
Oh, yeah, just for preliminary design work.
That's the design.
Yeah, to pursue an engineering planning.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
You're talking about the budget.
That's just the budget.
Yeah.
yeah, we haven't, we haven't closed on this. We haven't closed on this yet, but, and we've talked with EFC, we don't want to close until we go. But if we need to up our numbers, like if we need, get urine screen, we'll see if those numbers, we need more current numbers. Yeah. We're doing these things. I'd like to find out so we'll close.
And we're still waiting on if we get that estimate.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Also, too, there's some- well, so- It's cool. What- We're gonna have that before. It's 23, so we'll see.
So, the ongoing operating costs. And the IMA, it's the term of
The IMA, I can actually have it.
the projects of the long-term program actually now 2027, so we'll look at the final plans, the final things or instructions. We clear and start the period. But after that, the still be the neighborhoods. We got these, those construction plans. And that's.
Beaches. Did you go to beaches? Smell it. That's the representation. Collaboration. Term, there we go. Okay. Term of the agreement commences February 25th, 2015, and it goes until February 25th, 2055. I have a down payment on a house on the roof, so I'm ready to go. Zero interest, zero gravity.
So the recurring meetings should go to that day.
With the donuts for. Just wait till you see all the Outlook calendar invites that are gonna get sent out. Advances in modern medicine.
Okay, so that's, discussion.
Yeah, just something we're gonna be talking about and starting to work on, so, you know, I just, my thing is I don't want anybody to go, wait a minute, we're still paying for this stuff? Well, yeah, that's, the machine has to run in order for the river to reach it, to be compliant. You didn't just get that.
So we have seen disbursements, reconciliation, and revenue expense. Let's just look at our choice first, project financing. Always would be first question. Look at the net, that's going for church and parties. So, getting everything. So, that's acceptable. I guess that's what.
Yeah, I mean, Jessica's awesome, because she's been going through line by line, we've actually done a couple of hers. From the lists like beverage and item, yes, like traffic, so just making sure that everything ties correctly, because there was more grant for that project than we reported to the FC. So the good news is that community application train, bad news is we have to reconcile the FC. So in my project, and we're just making sure, because I think the books are right for the project. It's called I submitted to the FC for the project account. That's not driving, because I keep this up. So I can make fun of EFC for their systems. Working through those issues and making sure that I get our weekly calls and that we can able to be dispersed, so we can make sure that it's like.
Yeah, just making sure the progress of everybody's different. So that is project updates. Big Creek is going on. We have a photo. So we've been March. One build up with the pretty big system that has a line. One of the slabs of the so that's what we use in our the control system. The control system to so those are a couple things that might impact our schedule. Otherwise, Kelly's been pointing out.
Yeah, under construction, material there, crews there, they're actually doing stuff, it's nice, so I'm hoping we can beat that, should be okay. Van Buren has submitted, waiting for review, and they've completed the process.
Speaking of vendor, in your packet, I have the certificate for your last certificate I need for you.
Okay,
Sign that, I'll scan it.
so so is anything due in October?
Plans that.
Those projects?
Harbor still working with Corbin Street. We anticipate the pipe will be in the ground before the due date in consent order. There won't be remediation work that will be done in the springtime. It's substantially complete. Water will be on the pumps. 8th Street, or whatever, that particular one. Newcastle has been doing a lot of smells. Some of the groups will be going back and forth. Within the last 2 weeks, there's been more action than there has been in the last 3 months.
So we're gonna keep on trying to push it. They've got until contract is, I think it's June 15th. For completion, the consent order date is next December. What we had wanted them to do was to have most of the stuff done, but that's not gonna be the case. They still pushing to try to get some TV work done, try to get the doors done. There's some contractors there. So that's what we're trying to push for, but it's tough.
One thing I didn't mention is probably most everybody's aware of is federal money. With engineers selection, certain criteria. Bank staff. Selection. So make sure you're looking for this bipartisan infrastructure. We also have different, we have a little bit different from the guarantee. Sheet. So, yeah, we have a sheet to try to guide you with the secret. Make sure that the process. For those two things, those the construction documents. Are well, we've been told that some of this money, because we have a much different things than I do. So we were told this decision to use this BIL money would be quick. So documents, so we want to do this new tailgates that we increase outflow. So we really don't we want to close out financing without knowing that we're going to get BIL. Because we really like this work to be done in conjunction with some treatment. Actually, part of it was put an actual gate that you could see. So we use a suppression facility. Put it into the doors of the facility. So, which will be a benefit. Capture. So that's what gives us is, you know, we could be waiting until next year to close it. So, one of the things we're pretty much in the DC meeting is we're going to keep this website.
Yeah, if folks who recall, we built the district notification system. It was one of the elements of long-term control that we created. At the time, it was added to the long-term control plan. It was anticipated this would meet the 14 years requirements of the upcoming sewer pollution. Problem was that DEC decided that the 11 hour that they would have their own system for reporting. So their guidance was use our system, put a link to this website. A couple of problems with this website. I really love it. It's really neat. There's a couple of issues. One is we're losing browser compatibility. I don't know if you saw when I signed in, but it works okay with Microsoft Explorer, which not many people use. Yeah, and so it doesn't work well with Chrome or Firefox, but more has more of a market share. The second issue is this is pulling data from a source called Weather Underground, not that Weather Underground. To go back in time, Weather Underground, which is this, it's a free software service, not software, it's a data service, and it relies on that data service to pull rain gauge data from 3 locations in the county. Problem is, it's free, so there's no subscription, but it's unreliable. And it's frequently causing issues with the website.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'd have to pay a subscription service to get a system that feeds this. Other ones is since post-construction projects have happened with regulators and stream separations, these icons aren't entirely accurate. As far as announcing the districts are happening. Finally, we get 10 clicks a month on this. And I guarantee you at least 5 of those. Making sure it's working, or going into the website to look around, trying to promote it. So it's not, it doesn't meet a legal requirement. It needs to be overhauled, and it's not really being used. I asked Rob for a thumbnail sketch on what it costs to update the site, get new software, fix the browser compatibility issues, and update our trigger points. He's estimating around $40,000. Really hate to spend $40,000 of money and turn around and say BBC. This doesn't meet the super cool.
8,000 per click.
Why?
You know,
Yeah, like,
If you take yours out of it.
yeah.
Yeah, so we're. Running along because maintain this.
I think not supporting the site is a good idea, and I think in lieu of the site, I think there's a case to be made. We have a website where people can find out about the long-term control plan, all the projects, and they have data as far as the CSO reductions. We can replace this link with a link to sign up for Sewer Pollution Right to Know, and we can meet the terms of the order, but do it without having to invest $40,000 in the site. So I think you seem like, oh, you're going to link to our systems. Great.
Yeah.
That's my sales pitch. Let's see.
Want me to approve? That counts for anything.
When I mentioned the $40,000, okay, yeah.
And if anybody wants to pick this up,
You are free to mess around.
so have we got to the end of our agenda? Other business?
That's another business item.
Anybody else?
Say the next meeting, I think just straight up corporation meeting. Let's send me your materials. I'll distribute the evaluation sheets. I'll get materials to the last year company so they can get started. They should be pretty quick on their feet as far as getting that process started. And start preparing. So, I'll make a motion.
Okay. Motion carries.
Thanks for joining us, everybody in Cyberland.